Welcome learners. Myself Dr. Archana Shukla from Faculty of Library and Information Science, School of Social Sciences, IGNOU. Today we are going to talk about elements of management. This is a very interesting topic. In this topic we are going to cover what do we mean by management, what are the elements of the management, or they are called as the functions of the manager, and in the last part we will discuss how these functions are helpful for library managers. So, as we know, management is an art of getting work done through others. Management is basically related with management of man, machine and material. So, as far as management is concerned, this is the art of getting the work done through others and to direct the organization for the accomplishment of its goals. Management is a process to achieve organizational goals. It puts into action the policies and plans laid down by the administration. Management is said to be as a set of principles relating to the functions of planning, organizing, directing and controlling, and the applications of these principles in harnessing physical, financial, human and information resources efficiently and effectively to achieve organizational goals. According to Henry Fayol, management means to manage is to forecast and plan, to organize, to command and to control. This way, management provides a guidance to the organization, and managers are the person who are doing all these things. Since management involves solving the problems within an organization in order to reach the desired objectives, the focus is on understanding the function that makes up the process. So, management is very essential for any organization. Management means managing the organization for the accomplishment of goals, mission, vision of the organization. Today we are going to discuss about elements of management, that is known as POST-CORV. This is a famous acronym. This POST-CORV is coined by management theorist Luther Gulick and Urwick in their management paper Notes on the Theory of Organization, which was published in 1937. So, this POST-CORV is one such method in management where workforce and employees can be managed in a way which would be beneficial for a company. This concept POST-CORV helps organization to break down the work into multiple processes and help in getting maximum value out from each employee. POST-CORV, it helps the HR team to deliver to the needs of an organization. So, this is POST-CORV. POST-CORV, it represented by P, O, S, D, C, O, R and B. Here P represents planning, O represents organizing, S represents staffing, D represents directing, C represents coordinating, R represents budgeting, reporting and B represents budgeting. So, starting from planning function. As we know, planning is very necessary for any organization. Planning means to think in advance, to make a plan before starting any work or before doing anything. So, planning is the basic function of management. It deals with future course of action and deciding in advance the most appropriate course of actions for achievement of predetermined goals of the organization. Suppose we are going somewhere, suppose we are doing any work, for that also we are needing planning. Similarly, our organization needs planning for running that organization smoothly. Planning also involves many other activities. According to IGNOU, planning is deciding in advance what to do, when to do and how to do. Planning bridges the gap from where we are and where we want to be. A plan is a future course of action, what we are going to do in future. It is an exercise in problem solving and decision making. Planning is determination of courses of action to achieve desired goals. Thus, planning is a systematic thinking about ways and means for accomplishment of predetermined goals. Planning is necessary to ensure proper utilization of human and non-human resources. So, this way planning requires three things. One is future vision, the other is leadership quality and to know about the goals, mission and vision of the organization so as to make the plans accordingly. The next element or the next function of manager is organizing. Organizing is basically giving a structure to the organization. It is the process of bringing together financial, physical and human resources and developing productive relationship amongst them for achievement of organizational goals. To organize involves determining and providing human and non-human resources to the organizational structure. Organization as a process, it involves following things: identification of activities. We identify the activities of the organization and then we structure the organization according to these activities. We further classify and group these activities and accordingly, according to the skills of the staff or the competencies of the staff, we assign duties to them. And what other thing is necessary in this organization is delegation of authority and creation of responsibility. As we know, authority and responsibility, they goes hand in hand, they goes together. If you are assigning some task to somebody, then you have to give some authority to that person to complete that task in a successful manner. So, for organizing, delegation of authority by manager to the staff is very necessary. But after this delegation of authority, proper coordination is needed. Coordinating authority and responsibility relationship. It means the manager who is delegating this authority will monitor the staff how they are performing their duties smoothly. So, organizational structure depends upon the size of the organization, number of persons working in that organization and the amount of work done in that organization. The next function is staffing. Staffing means recruiting the staff for the organization. Staffing starts from job identification and it involves all the activities like recruiting the staff, then training them, then promoting them, then doing their performance appraisal. All the things which are related with the staff comes under staffing function of the manager. So, staffing is the function of manning the organization structure and keeping it manned, means to look into the future requirement of staff also. The main purpose of staffing is to put right man on the right place, which means proper task or task according to the skill or the competencies of the staff should be assigned to them. Here according to Noots and O'Daniel, they say managerial function of staffing involves manning the organization structure through proper and effective selection, appraisal and development of personnel to fill the roles designed and the structure. Staffing involves following things: manpower planning, which means estimating manpower in terms of searching, choose the person and giving him the right place in the organization. Then comes the recruitment process. For that, advertisement and other things are done. After this, then comes the selection and the placement process. After selection, we have to place that staff member in the organization. Then comes the training and development part. It is also very necessary because we have to keep our employees up to date with the changing situation. Fixing the remuneration for the staff and doing their performance appraisal also. This performance appraisal, it helps the authorities to decide whether to promote the staff, whether to train him, whether to transfer him. So, all these things are basically based upon performance appraisal. This leads to promotion and transfer of the staff in the organization. In staffing, sometimes job rotation is also done. Job rotation is a method of training all the staff in the works of the organization. So, by rotation, they are able to do all the works of that organization, so that in case of any emergency, they will be able to perform other jobs also. The next function is directing. Directing is like leading the organization. Directing is one of the major functions of the manager. It is that part of managerial function which makes an organization to work efficiently for achievement of organizational purposes. It is considered life spark of the organization which sets it in motion, the action of people, because planning, organizing and staffing are mere preparation for doing the work. Direction is that interpersonal aspect of management which deals directly with influencing, guiding, supervising, motivating subordinates for the achievement of organizational goals. Directing the staff into the one direction. This direction is the goals, mission and vision of the organization. Direction has following elements into it. First is supervision. Supervision, it implies overseeing the work of subordinates by their superiors. It is the act of watching, directing work and workers. So, it is like a control or the supervision from the seniors to the subordinate staff. Motivation means inspiring or encouraging the subordinates with zeal to work. Positive, negative, monetary, non-monetary incentives may be used for this purposes. Sometimes the promotions are given, sometimes strict warnings are given to motivate the staff in the organization. In directing, leadership quality is very important. Leadership may be defined as a process by which manager guides and influences the work of subordinate in desired direction. In desired direction means in the direction which he wants to guide the staff in that organization. Then comes the communication process. Communication is the process of passing information, experience, opinion, etc. from one person to another. It is like a bridge between the superiors and the subordinates. They pass on their information from one to another. Here managers must understand to remove the communication barriers also. What are the barriers there in communicating between the manager to the staff and with staff to staff interaction. So, managers they are removing those barriers from here. The next function is coordinating. It is a teamwork. It is a work by which our organization is working smoothly. Coordination is the process of integrating the objectives and activities of two or more units of an organization in order to achieve organizational goals efficiently. It ensures that all groups and persons work efficiently, economically and in harmony, means they work like a team. Coordination can be accomplished automatically if we have sound objectives, policies, procedures and programs and a sound organizational structures. Unbiased decisions from the managers or the authorities is also needed for proper coordination among the staff. For coordination, a manager interprets and explains the goals and policies of the organization to his subordinates. Manager integrates the effort of different employees to ensure that they work as a team. It involves the integration of the various parts of the organization. So, this way organization, staffing, planning, directing, these are the important functions of the manager. Then coming to the next function, which is reporting. Reporting involves regularly updating the superior about the progress or the work related activities. It is like informing the authorities about what is being done in the organization. It is also a means of communication from the managers to the authorities of that organization, or we may say it is a means of communication from management to the administration. The information dissemination can be through records or inspection. For this reporting purpose, organizations generally prepare annual reports and auditing and other things are being done in the organization. Then coming to the last element or the last function of this post corp is budgeting. As we know, budget is very necessary for any organization and finance is the lifeblood of any organization. Budgeting involves all the activities like auditing, accounting, financial planning and control. For this budgeting function, a budget is being prepared by a organization and this budget is the plan for income and expenditure of the organization. They present a futuristic view, what is going to be their income and how they are doing expenditure from that income. Some other functions are also mentioned by the different thinkers of management from time to time. They are leading, controlling and communication. Leading means a manager needs to do more than just plan, organize and staff her team. This they do for achieving the goals of the organization. He must also lead. Leading involves motivating, communicating, guiding and encouraging. It requires the manager to coach, assist and solve problems with the employees. So, leading is a very important function where manager acts like a leader and leads the team in the right direction. Controlling function, it is like a supervising function where all the other elements are in place. A manager job is not finished. He needs to continuously check results against goals and take any corrective actions necessary to make sure that his area's plan remain on track. So, the manager will keep a vigil on the staff of the organization so that they can move in the right direction. The next is communicating. It is very necessary for the coordinating function also. It refers to an art of transferring facts, ideas, feelings, etc. from one person to another and making them understand them. A manager has to continuously tell his subordinates about what to do, how to do and when to do various things. This communication is also very essential when some change is happening there in the organization. So, the manager has to properly communicate about that change and how that change will be implemented in the organization. Now, coming to the third part of this session, how this postcorp is going to be implemented in the libraries, how these functions are used by the librarians as the manager of the libraries. As we know, libraries are not for profit organization and libraries are generally service oriented organizations. The basic aim of the libraries is to provide services to its customers, and customer satisfaction is the main goal or objective of the library. So, librarians being the managers of the library, as far as the first function is concerned, planning. For planning, they do space planning. Space planning means the planning of the library building. As we know, in libraries, three things are always increasing: library collection, library users and accordingly library staff to manage that collection and users. So, while designing the library building, library managers, they should be proactive to decide the futuristic view of the library building. What are the requirements of the library building after the 20 years? So, that should be kept in mind while designing the present library building. Apart from this space management, time management is also required in libraries. In libraries, we are doing so many jobs like circulation, acquisition, processing, and all these jobs are dependent on each other. So, for proper coordination and saving the time of the user, librarians or library managers, what they do? They keep the library sections accordingly, one after the other, so as to save the time of the user. Similarly, classification and cataloging is being done in libraries to save the time of the user. Classification tells the users about the arrangement of the libraries. The next is organizing function. In libraries, organizing or organizational structure is very important. As I already told you that organizing is based upon the type of library or type of organization. If it is a small organization, then line type structure is there, means one after the other librarian, then under it professional assistant, then clerical staff and like that. But if it is a big library like a university library, then functional organizational structure is required, where the whole organization is divided according to the functions. In that case, many staff are there, one librarian, under that librarian 2 or 3 deputy librarian depending upon the requirement of the library. Under deputy librarians, assistant librarians, they will be heading the different sections of the library. So, in this way, organizational structure of the library depends upon the type of the libraries. School libraries, they are having line type organizational structure, and university and national and big public libraries, they are having functional organizational structure. Then coming to the staffing function of the manager. Staffing, as I already told you, it means to recruit the proper staff for doing the different works in the organization. In context of libraries, different library thinkers, they gave certain staffing patterns. How many staff and which type of staff is required in libraries to do the library work. One thing here we must be aware of about the changes in the library working. Now, most of the libraries, they are becoming more digital, or we are having a hybrid kind of libraries nowadays. So, to work in these kind of libraries, certain skills and competencies are needed by the library staff. So, the technologically sound staff we are recruiting these days in the libraries. So, staffing pattern help us to know about the numbers of staff in each of the section of the library, as well as they also help us to know about the skills and competencies required for each type of staff. Then comes the directing function of the manager. Directing means to lead the organization in the proper direction. Here, librarian being the manager of the library, he leads the library and he works for the objectives and goals and missions of the library. As I already told you, the main objective of the library is customer satisfaction. Then coming to the next function, that is coordinating. Coordinating is very important as far as libraries are concerned. Why it is important? Because the working of the sections in the libraries are dependent upon each other. How they are dependent? Acquisition section, that section is acquiring books. Then processing section, after acquisition they are processing these books for the use. Then comes the circulation section, which is issuing and returning the books to the users, and then comes the maintenance section. Suppose if acquisition section is not acquiring book, or the processing section, they are not processing the books on time. So, in spite of acquisition of those books, they are not being able to be used by the users. Similarly, the role of the maintenance section is very helpful. Why it is helpful? Because when the users are using these documents, or the user is using the collection of the library, these books are becoming damaged. So, if the maintenance section is not maintaining the collection properly, users will not be in the position to use that collection properly. So, all these activities, all these functions are interrelated. Similarly, reporting. Libraries are generally preparing their reports and they are submitting these reports to the library committees. In libraries, library committee is generally the authority which is controlling the libraries, and that is responsible for the works done in the library. So, librarians, they are preparing their annual reports and they are submitting those reports to the library committee. Then the next function of the post-corp is budgeting. Libraries, as we know, they are not for profit organizations. Libraries are always facing financial problems. So, what libraries are doing? They are just not only preparing their budget, they are also planning for their resource mobilization. How to get more and more resources for the libraries. Librarians, as the manager of the libraries, they are preparing library budget, they are doing auditing in the libraries, they are telling the authorities about the financial requirements of the libraries, and at the same time they are generating more and more resources for the libraries. So, this is how this post-corp is going to be implemented in libraries also, as it is applicable to any organization. Similarly, post-corp is also applicable to libraries also. Then coming to the summary of this topic, why post-corp is needed. We need post-corp to run the organizations properly, to tell the managers about their function and how they are going to perform these functions in the organization. For this, organizations vision, mission, strategies and leadership qualities, all these things are required by the managers to do. Similarly, managers have to treat their people fairly and honestly, so that they can work in a organization to achieve the goals of the organization. And as the managers and the staff, they have to follow organization's ethics and core values. They have to give their best to their teams and to their customers also. A positive relationship with all the people working in the organization is very necessary. Similarly, libraries are service oriented organization, so a very helpful attitude towards the library users, their hand holding, that must be required from the library staff as well as the library managers. So, at last I would like to mention that since management is a very crucial part of any organization, so emphasis and proper understanding of the above functions will boost the organizational operational efficiency. Therefore, it changes the success, chances of success are there. So, by understanding these functions of management or these elements of management, any manager will be able to perform his or her duties in the organization successfully, and he or she will be able to lead the organization in the proper direction. Thank you.